Hear that? Not just an engine, it's a revolution. Today, Audi means premium tech, Iron Man's R8, the motto Vorsprung durch Technik, and those four rings, but the roots, a bitter feud, a clever schoolboy, and a midnight escape, setbacks, genius, and near-extinction shaped Audi. Buckle up, this is Audi's wild true story. Our story doesn't begin with the name Audi, but with a man named August Horch. Horch was a brilliant engineer who had even worked under Carl Benz. In 1899 he founded his own company in Cologne, A. Horch & C. Later, he moved to Zwickau in Saxony. His cars were engineering masterpieces for their time, fast, reliable, and innovative. But there was a problem. August Horch was an absolute perfectionist, and perfectionism is expensive. He built cars for racing and frequently ignored budgets. His chief financial officers and business partners eventually had enough. After a massive dispute in 1909, the unthinkable happened. August Horch was fired from his own company. But Horch didn't give up. Just a few weeks later, he simply founded a new car company in the very same town. The problem: his old company still held the trademark for the name Horch. He was sued and lost. He desperately needed a new name.
During a crisis meeting with a business partner in 1910, the partner's young son was sitting in the room doing his Latin homework. While the men were arguing, the boy suddenly spoke up. "Father, why not call it Audi instead of Horch?"
Horch is the German command for listen or hark, and the Latin translation for that is Audi. The men were blown away. Audi Automobilwerke was born, a legendary name, created from a schoolboy's Latin homework. Let's fast forward to the 1930s. The Great Depression has Germany in a chokehold. Nobody has money for expensive cars anymore. Audi, along with Horch's old company, are on the verge of bankruptcy. Under immense pressure from the banks, something historic happens in 1932. The four Saxon car manufacturers, Audi, DKW, Horch, and Wanderer, merge. They now call themselves Auto Union. To symbolize this merger, they choose a brand new logo, 4 interlocking rings. Each ring stands for one of the brands. And this new Auto Union built absolute monsters. Together with a designer named Ferdinand Porsche, yes, that Porsche, they developed the legendary Silver Arrows of the 1930s. These race cars featured massive 16-cylinder engines mounted in the rear. They were incredibly difficult to drive but unfathomably fast. Drivers like Bernd Rosemeyer broke the 400 km/h, 250 mph barrier with them, on regular public roads. The world held its breath. Auto Union was on top of the world, but then came World War II, and everything fell apart. After 1945, the headquarters of Auto Union in Zwickau lay deep inside the Soviet occupation zone. The factories were completely dismantled by the Soviets, and the company was erased from the commercial register. Auto Union was dead, but a few executives and engineers refused to accept defeat. They fled west to Bavaria to a small town called Ingolstadt. With old spare parts and almost zero cash, they started over. From a modest warehouse in Ingolstadt, the Auto Union GmbH was reborn. It took years before they built real cars again. In the 50s, they were briefly bought by Daimler-Benz, but Mercedes quickly lost interest. Then, in 1964, Volkswagen swooped in. VW basically just wanted the factories in Ingolstadt to build more VW Beetles. The engineers at Auto Union were strictly forbidden from developing their own new cars. But remember August Horch? That stubborn drive for innovation was still deeply embedded in their DNA. An engineer named Ludwig Krauss secretly developed a brand new car, working nights and weekends. When he finally showed it to the VW boss, the executives were so impressed that they greenlit production. In 1965, this car hit the market. The old brand name was pulled out of the drawer. The car was simply called Audi. The brand had officially risen from the dead. Welcome to the late 70s and 80s. This is where Audi became the Audi we know today. An engineer named Jörg Benzinger was testing a VW military vehicle, the Iltis, in the deep Finnish winter. He noticed something crazy. This clunky, underpowered Jeep with four-wheel drive was driving circles around the most powerful sedans in the snow. He had a wild idea. What if we put an all-wheel drive system into a sporty passenger car? At the time, everyone thought AWD was way too heavy and clunky for normal road cars. But together with Chief Technology Officer Ferdinand Piëch, a grandson of Porsche, they pushed the project through. At the 1980 Geneva Motor Show, Audi dropped a bomb, the Ur-Quattro. To prove just how good the system was, Audi entered the World Rally Championship, and they didn't just compete, they obliterated the competition. While all the other rear-wheel drive cars were sliding helplessly in the mud, the all-wheel drive Quattro catapulted itself forward. It was the era of Group B, the most dangerous, extreme rally class in history. Drivers like Hannu Mikkola, the legendary Michel Mouton, and of course Walter Röhrl became steering wheel gods. Audi won world championships and shattered records, like at the famous Pikes Peak Hill climb. From that moment on, everyone knew all-wheel drive was the future. And Audi had invented it. Vorsprung durch Technik was no longer just a slogan, it was a fact. After the rally era, there was no stopping them. Audi wanted to prove they could build the ultimate cars for the street too. They released the R8, a supercar that looked so good Tony Stark made it his company car in Iron Man. They dominated the toughest car race in the world, like the 24 Hours of Le Mans. They won there an unbelievable 13 times in 15 years. They were the first to win with a diesel engine, TDI, and the first to win with a hybrid powertrain. Today, Audi is standing at another turning point. Just like they revolutionized the combustion engine by putting Quattro on the road, they are now redefining electric mobility with the e-tron lineup. From a fired engineer, to a schoolboy with Latin skills, to the rally mud of the 80s and the electric supercars of today, Audi is the perfect example of what happens when you never settle for the status quo. Which Audi model is the most legendary of all time for you? The classic Sport Quattro S1, or maybe the R8? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a like. Until next time, keep your ears open. Or as they say in Latin, Audi.